Hi loves, welcome or welcome back to the channel. On this video we'll be making this twist belt wrap maxi dress. It has belts coming straight out of the top dart, and you can use it to wrap around your waist like so and style it anyhow you want. It's a maxi dress and the sleeves is a bob sleeve kind of. The inspiration was from Hijab Glamour on TikTok, so you can go check them out if you like. If this is something you're interested in, keep watching and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Let's get right into the video. So to make this dress, we'll be needing 4 yards of this Duchess fabric. If you're a beginner, I'll advise you use 5 yards instead of 4 so you don't run short of fabric. But for this tutorial, I'll be using 4 yards of this Duchess fabric, zip to match my tape and my scissors. Let's start drafting. First, I'll be drafting the front panel, and to draft the front panel, I went ahead to fold my fabric into 2 and I drew my starting line. So every other measurement I'll be placing will be after that starting line. So I went ahead to mark out my chest line at 8, my bust point at 10, my under bust at 13, my waist line at 16. I added 1 inch to serve as my joining allowance. I'll be drawing my line across those points, and after doing that, I'll be labeling my chest point C and my bust point B so I don't get confused. Now the next thing I'll be doing is to mark out my neck measurement. I went in by 3.5 inches and came down by 3 inches, and I'll be making a curve there to mark my neckline. Next, I will be drawing my armhole line. I placed my shoulder measurement divided by 2 on my shoulder line and on my chest line, and I have a straight line. On that armhole line, I came down by 1 inch to get my shoulder slope to my neckline, and then I'll be measuring the rest of that armhole line, finding the midpoint. And on the midpoint, I'm going to go in by 1/2 inch, and I'll be drawing my armhole curve like so. Now after drawing my armhole curve, the next thing I will be doing is to place my dart. So on the bust point, I'm going to be placing my nipple to nipple measurement. My normal nipple to nipple measurement is usually 3.5, but I'll be using 4 for this one. So I placed it at 4 on my bust point and on my waistline, and I joined it using a straight line. I'll be coming out on both sides by 1.5 inches, and I'll be using a slant line to connect those points to the bust point like so. The next thing I'm going to do is to measure from the dart line that is closer to the middle of the dress. I'm going to measure how much space I have there, and from my measurement I have about 2.5 inches. Now I'm going to be placing 2.5 inches from the center front all the way down to the full length. For my belt, I want my belt to be at least 40 inches long, so I'm going to be marking 2.5 and drawing the line, drawing the dart like this. Now after doing it, I'm going to measure how much space I have in between my dart, and I have about 3 inches. I'll be marking that point 3 inches from that line all the way down. Okay, after doing that, I will be adding about 1 inch to both sides of the line all the way down to the full length of that belt. That 1 inch is going to serve as my stitching allowance. Now after joining the allowance, this is what I have. Now I'm going to start cutting, and I'll cut out my neckline, my shoulder and my armhole. I'll be placing my round measurement. I was supposed to place my round measurement before cutting, but it did not occur to me that I've not yet placed. For the round measurement, I'll be placing my bust round divided by 4 on my bust line, and I'll be adding my stitching allowance. Okay, now on my waistline, I'll be placing my waist round measurement divided by 4, replacing that dart, and then I'll add my stitching allowance. Now I'm going to join those lines together, and this is what I have. So from that point, I'm going to be cutting it into the belt. So just watch where I'm cutting. This day that God is giving me, I'm not gonna waste this joy deep down inside. After cutting out the allowance, this is what I have. I have my belt all the way down, and then I have my top piece like so. By the time I'm done taking out the dart for the top pieces, I'm going to have something like this, and I can twist the belt together like so. But before I do that, I'm going to fold the fabric together like this, just the same way that it was when we were cutting it out, and I'm going to notch through the allowance like so. So just watch where I'm cutting. I'm cutting the allowance for the belt and then the allowance for the top. Now after notching these areas, I'm going to start sewing. So I'm going to open up this fabric like so, and I will be picking one side of the belt, attaching it to the second side like so. I'm going to be stitching about 1/2 inch all the way down to the full length of the belt. Okay, so I'll be stitching 1/2 inch all the way to that point I notched. And for the second belt, I'll be doing the same thing. I'm going to fold it this way, I'll be stitching all the way through that allowance. Now after stitching and turning it over, this is what I have. On my neckline, I will be placing this facing on my neckline like so, and I'll be stitching about half inch across the neckline and flipping it over and ironing it down. And after doing that, this is what I have. Now I'm going to keep this aside and I'll be drafting my skirt piece. For my skirt piece, I will be folding my fabric into two from one edge like this. So from this edge, I folded my fabric into two, so I have something that looks like a cone, or like, let me say, a triangle. So I'm going to fold my fabric into a triangle. And after doing that, your fabric should be looking something like this. Now on the tip of that triangle, I'm going to be placing my tape, and I'll be placing it at the part that can accommodate my waist round divided by 4 plus 1 inch stitching allowance. My waist round divided by 4 is 7, so I'll be marking at the point that has 8. Now I'll be placing my half length, which is 16, on that line, and from that line I'm going to place my full measurement. My half length is on my waistline and I'll be marking my full length. Then I'll shift the tape again, making sure that my half length is on my waistline. I will mark my full length. I will move the tape again. I'm trying to adjust the fabric so that it does not fold too much. This fabric is a little bit tricky, and I'm going to do it till I get to the end of this fabric. Okay, and after doing that, I'm going to go ahead and cut through the lines like so. This thing is a little bit big, so it was not able to fit into my camera frame, but I hope you're able to understand what I was doing. I will be cutting out the back pieces of this skirt part, and the difference is that it's going to be open in the middle and it's going to have zipper allowance to one side. So I went ahead to pin my front skirt pieces on another fabric. I folded the fabric the same way I folded for the front pieces, and this is what it should be looking like. Now I'm going to be adding 1.5 inch zipper allowance all the way to the full length of this skirt like this. Now after doing that, I'm going to start cutting. I will be cutting the waist all the way to the new zipper allowance, and I will be cutting it all the way to the full length. After cutting out my back skirt piece, I'm going to be opening up this folded part. So for the front, I'm not cutting open the folded part, but for this back, I'll be cutting open that folded part so that I can use each one for the both sides of the back panel. I have my front piece and my back piece with the zipper allowance. Now for my front piece, I'll be attaching the skirt to the top, and to do that, I went ahead to interlock the edges of this fabric, and I'll be placing the skirt on the top pieces front side facing each other, and I'll be pinning it down. I'll be pinning at that notched point close to the belt like so. Okay, that way it's easier to stitch very close to the belt, and I'll be making sure that the belt is inside, like it's up like this, so it's not obstructing anything and you don't sew on the belt when you're sewing. So I'm going to continue pinning down my skirt parts, okay, all the way to the end of the waist area, paying attention to those points that I notched. Just trust the process, because I know right now some people will be like, won't it sew on top of the belt? No, I will not sew on top of the belt. Just trust the process. Now zooming in to see where I pinned. As you can see, this is the place I pinned. When I'm stitching around that place I notched, I'm going to sew really close to the belt, and I'll be stitching about 1 inch across the waistline like so. And after doing that, this is what I have. I make sure I stitched very close to that belt area, and after doing that, I'll be taking out my pins and I'll be opening it up so you will see what it's looking like. The belt was not affected and there is no hole there. That's the excess of stitching very close to the belt. And when you twist the belt like this, you see what it's looking like. So I'm going to be keeping this front piece aside, and I'll be drafting the top back piece. And to do that, I went ahead to place all my vertical measurements: my chest line at 8, my bust point at 10, and my waist point at 16. And I'll be adding 1 inch joining allowance. Now I will be drawing a line across those points. And after doing that, I'll go ahead and mark out my zipper allowance. And for the zipper allowance, I just went in by 1.5 inch all the way to the half length of this dress, and I'll be joining those points with a straight line, and that point is going to serve as my zipper allowance. Every measurement I'll be taking will be after that zipper allowance. I'll be drawing my neckline, going in by 3.5 inches and coming down by 1 inch, and joining the 2 points with a curve. I'll be placing my shoulder measurement divided by 2 on my shoulder line and on my chest line so that I have a straight line. I'll be drawing my slant line and armhole curve just the same way I did for the front pieces. Now I'll be placing my bust round measurement divided by 4 on my bust point, and I'll be placing my waist round measurement divided by 4 on my waist point. This back piece is not going to have any dart because fabric is stretchy. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my stitching allowance, and I'll be joining it from the chest line all the way down like this. Now I'm going to start cutting. While cutting the zipper area, I'm going to be cutting out about 3/4 of an inch from the waistline area, and I'll be cutting it in a slant into the chest line area like so. That's like my zipper adjustment, so I don't have bulge at the back of this dress. Now I'll be cutting on the shoulder and the armhole area as well. And after doing that, this is what I have. I'm going to go ahead and cut out facing for the neck of this back piece, and to do that I brought some of the leftover fabrics and I folded it in two. I placed it under the main fabric and I'll be cutting it out like so. After cutting out the neckline, I'm going to go ahead and curve this facing, okay, like so, and I'll be cutting it open. Now for the back piece, I will be placing the two back pieces like so, and I'll be placing the facings on it front side facing each other. I'll be stitching with about half an inch across the neckline. After doing that, I ironed it down and I went ahead to interlock the edges of this back piece. The next thing I'll be doing is to introduce the skirt of the back piece, okay. I also interlocked that fabric as well, and I will be stitching about 1 inch across the waistline like so, and I will be doing that for the two parts of the back panel. And after doing that, this is what I have. So I have two of these. The next thing I will be doing is to fix my zipper. I'm going to be fixing my zipper, and after doing that, I'll be closing it from this point all the way to the full length. After doing that, this is what I have. The next thing I'm going to do is to place my front piece over the back piece, and I'll be taking this to my machine and I'll be stitching across the shoulder like so to join the back to the front. After doing that, I'll be sewing in my sleeve, which is just a basic sleeve with pleats at the hand and a band. After sewing in my sleeve, I'm going to go ahead and shape this dress, and this is the final look. Hope this video was able to help you. If it did, let me know in the comment section. If you have any questions, also let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
This day that God has given me, I'm not gonna waste this joy deep down inside me. I'm not gonna shake. Been stressed for so long, so stuck in my own way. So I'ma enjoy this moment. It's the day that the Lord has made.